Tonight, travel turmoil as passengers face cancellations and last-minute changes. Others left waiting for test results. Vaccine boosters fast-tracked to fight the rapid spread of COVID. Victorians urged to spend Christmas outdoors. Queensland, WA and South Australia facing their biggest COVID threat of the pandemic. A dawn rush at markets across Melbourne to make sure the fridge is stocked for Christmas. And the Australian cricket team prepares for the Boxing Day test at the MCG.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. Christmas travel plans have been thrown into chaos for Victorians flying interstate. Dozens of flights were cancelled because airlines couldn't find enough staff, while some passengers faced a desperate wait for COVID test results before they could take off.
Christmas plans up in the air.
I'm very angry.
Dozens of flights cancelled and rescheduled in the past 24 hours. Jetstar and Virgin staffing crisis impacted airports across the country.
Just that Virgin apologises for any inconvenience, but the flight's been cancelled.
I had two reschedules happen in the last 48 hours.
Passengers meant to be heading direct to Darwin arriving at the airport to find out they've been moved to later flights.
They changed it twice and put in the connection to Perth. But to get in Perth, I need to do the G2G, and I got my G2G denied because there's a high risk here.
We will wait for 8 hours in Adelaide before we get another flight to Darwin. So it looks like we're going to have Christmas in Adelaide.
Some flights were instead brought forward.
We got put on an earlier flight, which is fine, but we just haven't got our test results back. Yeah, probably not happening.
Virgin says it's operating hundreds of flights with little to no impact, and those which have been affected have been moved to a same-day departure. Jetstar says it appreciates the frustration this causes, but a large number of its frontline team are being required to test and isolate as close contacts.
They said due to the pandemic situation, all kinds of things, there was cancellations.
On top of flight delays, anxious travellers are being forced to reschedule because their test results haven't come back within 72 hours.
My kids have got theirs, so they flew last night. And so I came back this morning, hoping to get the results overnight. Didn't happen.
Some trying to lighten the mood.
Oh, look, I think it's been a good conversation starter, and then I can act as a bit of a psychologist to help people, get the anger out before they get to the desk.
But tensions still flying high with the reality some Victorians may spend Christmas apart yet again.
It's just horrible at this time of the year, especially being Christmas, that, families aren't even able to travel.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Booster shots are being fast-tracked to fight Australia's soaring number of COVID cases. The time between second and third vaccine doses will be reduced to 4 months in the new year, meaning millions more people will be eligible.
4 weeks after the world learned of Omicron, it's made vaccination more urgent.
It's no surprise we will be bringing forward the eligibility for the booster dose.
On Otago advice, from January 4, Australians will be able to get their booster shot 4 months after their second dose. On January 31, that changes to 3 months, bringing Australia in line with the UK.
These dates have been set out of an abundance of caution to give Australians early continued protection.
I will stress that just because you get to 3 months or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, it doesn't mean that you immediately just that day lose your protection. That is not the case.
The state government unveiled a booster ad campaign.
One New Year's resolution that's easy to keep
is getting your next COVID-19 vaccination.
But many state-run vaccine clinics are closed over Christmas. Some eager Victorians missing that memo today.
Heading back to Berwick, I thought I'll come in here and get a booster, but that ain't going to happen now.
Got to wait till January 4.
Wow. Oh, well, if you've got to wait, you've got to wait. It's Christmas, everything's different.
Victoria recorded 2,095 new cases and 8 deaths. 397 people are in hospital. Demand for testing remains high. More than 81,500 were done yesterday. The The morning rush was on again at St Vincent's in Fitzroy, at Albert Park and Monash in Clayton. Lines were shorter at the South Melbourne drive-through and on Bourke Street. As Victorians ease into holidays, testing staff will continue working. 34 sites will stay open on Christmas Day, but there will only be 3 open in all of regional Victoria, in Ballarat, Bendigo and the Mornington Peninsula. More sites will reopen Boxing Day. After that, it's back up to more than 260. New mask rules came into force today. Adults and children aged 8 and over must wear them indoors. Some families taking extra precautions.
Basically, because big crowds, we're just playing it safe and making sure we're all good.
We have to wear it like every day at school, and it gets a bit annoying sometimes because it's like you always, if you forget, you have to run and get one quickly.
A bit of a challenge, but it's something that we'll do as a group and as a community.
There's more people can do to stay safe this Christmas, including socialising outdoors.
The breeze disperses virus particles and the sun degrades them, and it's going to be a sunny day tomorrow.
Victorians already heeding advice to enjoy the sunshine to stay safe. Emma O'Sullivan, 7 News.
And Emma is at St Paul's Cathedral. There's been a COVID outbreak in the choir.
Mike, there's been an outbreak linked to a choir that performed at St Paul's on the weekend. It's certainly not the first time there's been a COVID cluster linked to group singing, and authorities say it's a reminder about the increased projection of aerosol particles when singing, and that no one feeling at all unwell should be joining any Christmas carolling this year. St Paul's has pointed out that no members of the cathedral's own choir are affected in this outbreak, so all Christmas performances can go ahead, including tonight. Mike?
That's some good news, Em. Thank you. The opening of borders means COVID cases are surging in other states. In Queensland, locals are being told to prepare for the virus like a bushfire, while South Australia today recorded more cases per capita than Victoria.
Until recently, COVID-free, but since Wednesday, new virus cases have tripled in Queensland. 589 today. Residents now urged to prepare for getting COVID, including stockpiling food.
So think of it this way, Queenslanders, the same as we prepare for our bushfires, for our cyclones, for our floods, now you need to get ready for COVID.
Still, it's estimated just 2/3 of Queenslanders are complying with mask rules. And this stark warning.
If you're not vaccinated, stay away from everybody. Don't go to any Christmas event if you're not vaccinated.
In South Australia, a record 688 cases, more per head of population than Victoria. They've finally legalised rapid antigen tests for all and pushed back next week's planned changes.
We did plan to lift restrictions on the 28th. That has now been postponed into the new year.
In New South Wales, more than 5,600 new cases, slightly below yesterday's record. Mandated masks returned. But nothing will stop the famous fireworks.
New Year's Eve is a really important celebration. We're going to make sure that we do more things outside, but the fireworks will be on. I do expect less people to attend. People are managing their own health.
And in Western Australia, 5 new cases. If there is community spread, the Premier might open borders earlier than planned.
It may well be that February 5 becomes redundant.
But today, he toughened restrictions.
Bear in mind the measures we're putting in place here for 5 cases are as tough as the measures in New South Wales with 5,000 cases per day.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Most retailers are now closed and fridges stocked ready for Christmas feasts after a long and busy day in stores. The rush began before dawn, shoppers keen to grab the freshest seafood at the markets.
After a year of queues for testing and vaccination, these are the happiest queues of all to buy fresh seafood for Christmas Day.
Prawns and oysters. Whole salmon, snapper to put on a barbie, lobsters of course.
Some came early.
It's been hectic since about 4:30.
Markets across town.
Merry Christmas!
South Melbourne. Queen Victoria and Paran, popular choices.
Next customer!
To make sure tomorrow's family feasts were fully stocked.
Bonkers.
completely bonkers. I got up at 4:45.
Everyone's had a tough year, so good to be back at the market and see it busy again.
Food's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to it.
The biggest day of the year.
200 to 300 turkeys so far, and there's another 200 in the back waiting for orders.
Hams are selling fast, I feel it's selling fast, legs of lamb, everything's going.
It's good to see people out and about supporting people, and
We've got to keep eating.
oh, bloody oath you do, especially if you want to look like me.
Most were in the Christmas spirit,
Ho, ho, ho! Yes, please!
but some a little concerned.
What's the social distancing like?
What social distancing?
Too many people. I think we should do something. This is a super spreader event.
Among the crowd at Queen Victoria Market, a familiar face.
In a year like this, what do you think most people want for Christmas, Santa?
I think they want a little bit of peace of mind and a good feed of seafood.
For some, a sweet reward after the shopping list was ticked off.
Oh, thank God I'm out of there. Let's get a donut.
But food isn't so much on the mind of kids. Instead, it's
The presents.
And for those who left shopping until the last day, the pressure was on.
Stressed.
I am disorganised, very disorganised.
Santa will be looking forward to time off, but retailers only get one day to catch their breath. Before they leave work tonight, they'll be setting up for the next big lure for us to spend even more. Some stores opening at 6 a.m. for Boxing Day sales.
Customers can save up to 50% on a great range of products across fashion, shoes, accessories, homewares and electrical.
On Sunday alone, Australians will spend $2.9 billion in stores, another $1.2 billion online.
People like to return to the stores post-Christmas so that they can spend, gift cards as well as exchange any gifts that perhaps they didn't want.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
US health regulators have authorised a second pill to treat COVID-19. It's being developed by Merck. Trials have shown it reduces hospitalisation and death by around 30%. The pill will be made available only to the most vulnerable adults. Pfizer's antiviral COVID pill was approved in the US yesterday. A young man has been killed following a two-car crash in Melbourne's west. A ute collided with a sedan on Hopkins Road at Truganina around 5:30 this morning. The 26-year-old from Aintree died at the scene, while the other driver, a 71-year-old man, was taken to hospital. The road was blocked off and extra emergency crews flown in as police investigated what caused the crash. Our religious and political leaders have expressed a renewed sense of hope as they share their annual Christmas messages to the nation. The Prime Minister paid special tribute to healthcare workers and urged people to pray for the families impacted by Tasmania's Jumping Castle tragedy.
The world is still suffering. This year, COVID forced our biggest cities to once again plunge into lockdown.
Unable to visit dying relatives in hospital, worried about mortgage or rent, even where the next meal will come from.
Many have been sick, many have died. But as the year draws to an end, many are optimistic.
In such dark times, Christmas is a ray of light, a slither of hope.
After 2 years of isolation, Australians have been reunited.
Off the Zoom and actually back in the room with family, friends and loved ones.
Though many still spending the holidays alone, as Omicron spreads across the country.
Whatever comes our way, we back ourselves to overcome and to push through, as we have during the course of this pandemic.
This Christmas, Australia's religious leaders have urged us to remember the true meaning of the day.
There is no Christmas without Christ. There is no true joy unless the Lord is present in our homes, in our lives.
He says to us this Christmas, I am the bread of life. Come, believe and trust in me.
Our political leaders paid tribute to workers on the front line.
So many selfless Australians are out there caring for others this Christmas.
Thanks to everyone for taking care of each other.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has asked the nation to pray for the families devastated by Tasmania's Jumping Castle tragedy.
That they might find some measure of comfort in this hour of their terrible grief.
And he paid special tribute to defence personnel stationed overseas.
May God especially bless you and your families this Christmas.
After the holidays, both Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese will put aside the niceties as they prepare for the fight of their political lives. The federal election due in May.
But for now,
may the festive season bring you joy and may it be a sign of better times to come.
Merry Christmas, Australia, and God bless.
Jennifer Beshwati, 7 News.
Now, the Aussies are still sitting on the final team for the third test. Andrew McCormack, they've got some late calls to make.
They certainly do, Mike. The bowling lineup is still undecided. Coming up, we reveal a troubling injury for a young Aussie star. Plus, Josh Hazlewood, absolutely no certainty to play after a quiet session in the nets at the G today. Plus, the Kiwi, who saved the day with an incredible last ball six in the Super Smash.
Goes for it!
Oh, they love that one over the ditch. And Mike, Steph Curry has had an absolute day out, a bit of a pre-Christmas show from Steph Curry. We'll have more on that. It's 6:45.
Can't wait. Thanks, Macca. See you soon. A horrific child sex attack in Melbourne South East was kept a secret for decades. Up next, the hunt for a predator. Why the victims decided to speak up now. Also, Pacific tensions as the Solomon Islands turns to China for help. Good news for commuters on the Cranbourne line. And why Daryl Braithwaite is taken to busking. An investigation's been launched into the abduction of a girl from a street in Melbourne South East 50 years ago. The victim finally decided to go to police after seeing the case of a little girl's disappearance in Western Australia.
A crime kept buried for more than half a century. An 8-year-old girl abducted on her way home from Clarinda Primary School in 1970.
Taken her away from the area and sexually assaulted the young child.
Police have released these images of the suspect and his black station wagon. Today, the man would be in his 80s.
The window for seeking justice is still not closed.
Police say the victim is speaking out after Cleo Smith's abduction in WA.
Cleo Smith's release brought up a lot of these feelings and tough memories for the victim.
Police are also investigating if the same man attempted another child abduction in the same year. A young girl was approached by a man in a black car here on Orunda Crescent, just 3 minutes away from Clarinda Primary.
The similarities are the description of the offender and also the description of the vehicle used and even the target as well.
Detectives pleading for anyone with information to find that same courage to come forward.
You just never know what little bit of information may be that missing piece of the puzzle.
Kathleen O'Connor, 7 News.
Australian soldiers are about to be joined in the Solomon Islands by Chinese military personnel. They're being deployed to train local police after months of diplomatic tension and civil unrest. Political reporter Jennifer Beshwati joins us. And Jen, what does this mean for Australia?
Well, Mike, this threatens to further damage our already fractious relationship with Beijing. The reason why Australian troops and police officers are stationed in Honiara is because of days of riots over the Solomon Islands government's decision to back China over Taiwan. I'm told this move will only make matters on the ground worse, with defence experts saying it's just China trying to flex its muscle in the Pacific. Now, the Australian government is aware of the move but says that it's a matter for the Solomon Islands government. Meanwhile, 15 ADF and 40 AFP officers remain there. No word on when they'll return. Mike?
Jennifer Beshwati, thank you. A light plane has crashed on a Queensland beach, killing the passenger and leaving the pilot with critical injuries. It went down on a remote sand strip north of Mackay. An 83-year-old local man died. The pilot was freed from the wreckage with the tide incoming. He was flown to hospital with head injuries. Commuters in Melbourne South East will see new train services from early next year. Crews have just finished a 9-day stint installing and testing the signalling equipment on the Cranbourne-Pakenham lines. The upgrade will allow trains to run every 2 to 3 minutes from 2025. 50 extra services will start on the Cranbourne line from February 13. Russian President Vladimir Putin has done little to calm fears of an all-out invasion of Ukraine. He delivered a marathon address to the nation, speaking for over 4 hours and raging against the United States.
On a giant made-for-TV set, Vladimir Putin appears to speak to 145 million Russians and 500 journalists. The Russian leader thanking Santa Claus for giving him the presidency for nearly 2 decades. railing against cancel culture and calling some countries, including Australia's diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics, unacceptable and wrong. The Russian president also talking about war.
It is the United States that has come to us with their missiles. They are already on our doorstep.
100,000 Russian troops are thought to be massed on its border with Ukraine. In response, Ukraine has been running its own military drills, some alongside NATO troops. Vladimir Putin clearly unhappy today. The Western alliance's influence has spread east since the end of the Cold War, saying Russia has been duped. Vladimir Putin appears to be now placing significant weight on security talks between the US and Russia in Geneva next month. A suggestion diplomacy could avoid conflict, but some fear if those talks fail, Moscow could be emboldened further.
Well, facts are a funny thing, and facts make clear that the only aggression we're seeing at the border of Russia and Ukraine is the military buildup by the Russians and the bellicose rhetoric from the leader of Russia.
This 4-hour press conference is meant to show Vladimir Putin's stamina. It could also show he's up for a fight. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Aussie music legend Daryl Braithwaite surprised crowds in Melbourne today with a special live concert of covers and classics on the steps of the GPO building, including, of course, his big hit, Horses. That's the way it's gonna be, darling. Stars have been busking as part of a city revival campaign. More street performances will pop up in secret locations in February. The MCG is preparing for its biggest crowd since Anzac Day, but there could be changes to the Boxing Day Test COVID rules. Meanwhile, Australia and England have had their main training sessions before Sunday.
2 days out from Boxing Day, the MCG is ready. With ground staff hard at work, Pat Cummins rejoined the squad, back as captain to lead final preparations. Australia 1 win away from retaining the urn.
I'm really excited. It feels like Christmas for me as well.
There's more grass on the wicket, aimed at promoting more life in the contest.
I looked at it yesterday and it does look very different, so I imagine it might play slightly differently to 4 years ago.
Melbourne set to turn it on after a year starved of major sport.
Obviously I played here last year, but there was a cap on 30,000 I think, and that was loud enough to be fair.
This year there's no limit on crowd numbers and no designated zones like last year's match. Sources tell 7 News the MCC is bracing for possible changes to density limits in function rooms and bars mid-match. More than 70,000 fans expected on Boxing Day, the biggest crowd here at the MCG since 78,000 on Anzac Day. For fans, COVID rules are impossible to ignore. Masks are mandatory when entering the ground and everywhere except when in your seat. All fans aged 12 years and older must be vaccinated. You'll need to QR code check-in when you arrive, and food and beverage outlets are cashless. Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
Sonia Marinelli joins us now with a look at the weather. And Sonia, what is Santa up against tonight?
My cloud builds overnight, but it should be a smooth ride. There's just some wispy cloud outside right now, lots of bright blue sky. We're sitting on a warm 25 degrees under a light breeze. It'll be holding around 18 degrees close to midnight. Then we wake to a mild Christmas morning under cloud. I'll be back after sport with the rest of the day's forecast and our first look at New Year's Eve. Spoiler alert, the summer heat's making a comeback. Michael, see you then.
I love the sound of that. Thanks, Sonia. The Omicron variant has a lot of people worried, but there is some encouraging news from the UK. Next, what the experts are saying about it and why it could be critical to life returning to normal. Also, help for Melbourne families stuck in isolation over Christmas. Guilty, the cop who fired her gun instead of a taser and killed a man. Plus, Harry and Meghan share the first official photo of daughter Lilibet. A suspected terrorist has been arrested on a Sydney street accused of preparing for an attack. Counter-terrorism officers say they've been monitoring him for years.
Police and government officials have engaged with the individual to attempt to de-radicalise him. He refused to participate and continued to promote ISIL material online.
The 34-year-old is accused of posting information online about bombings and explosives. Omicron cases are surging, but there's hope tonight. The fast-spreading strain could fast-track our return to normal. Scientists have found the new variant is up to 80% less severe than previous virus mutations.
Omicron spreading like wildfire around the world and now Australia.
The virus is going to come to every single community in Queensland.
As leaders brace for case numbers to reach new heights in the coming weeks, vaccine protection is still key.
Boosters do protect and increase that protection against severe disease.
But new data is starting to confirm what many hoped. Omicron appears less severe than previous strains. A South African study finding the highly transmissible variant is up to 80% less likely to result in severe illness. And UK scientists have found the chance of an emergency room visit with Omicron is halved. A relief after Delta, with fewer Omicron cases ending up in intensive care.
We're not seeing that same sort of increase in hospitalisations or ICU.
As health experts prepare for Omicron to become the dominant strain, they say booster shots will be essential for the next stage of living with the virus.
It will be an important, and is already becoming an important part of our control of the current Omicron wave in Australia.
Also helpful, a new test developed by Australian scientists. One prick of blood can measure a person's antibodies, telling them if and when they need a booster dose. Tim Lester, 7 News.
A woman's accused of stabbing a man on a tram in the city last night. Police were called to the corner of Queen and Burke Streets around 7 p.m. Detectives blocked off the area to interview witnesses. A woman was arrested and is being questioned over the attack. The man wasn't seriously injured. An American policewoman has been found guilty of killing a black driver by shooting him during a routine traffic stop. Kim Potter claims she accidentally grabbed her gun instead of her taser. Now she's facing 11 years in jail.
A former officer of the law turned felon.
On the charge of manslaughter in the first degree, guilty.
49-year-old Kim Potter was a Minneapolis police officer when she shot dead Dante Wright during a traffic stop in April this year. Potter claims she accidentally grabbed her gun instead of her taser. Breaking down in her own defence.
I'm sorry it happened.
Wright was pulled over for an expired registration and an air freshener on his mirror. During the traffic stop, police discovered there was a warrant for his arrest. The unarmed 20-year-old tried to flee. Potter says that's when she decided to pull what she thought was a taser.
She drew a deadly weapon. She aimed it. She pointed it at Dante Wright's chest. And she fired.
Outside the court,
emotions, every single emotion that you could imagine just running through your body at that moment.
Minneapolis police have now been at the centre of multiple high-profile shootings, the same city where a police officer shot dead Australian Justine Damond-Ruszczyk and where Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Fire has erupted at one of America's largest oil refineries. 4 people were hurt as the Texas plant was rocked by an explosion. It took 7 hours to extinguish the flames. ExxonMobil says it's still investigating what went wrong. The Sussexes have given the world the first glimpse of daughter Lilibet. Parents Harry and Meghan have released their Christmas card with a new family photo where it's clear Archie takes after his dad. The couple says their son made them a mama and papa, and the arrival of Lily made them a family. 15,000 Victorians are spending Christmas in isolation because they have COVID, and thousands more face the same fate because they're close contacts or awaiting test results. But help is at hand for people stuck at home this weekend.
They're the Christmas angels lending a hand.
I brought some Christmas gifts to your daughters.
Working right through the festive season to help families struck by COVID.
My name's Kit from Co-Health. I have a delivery for you guys.
Oh yeah, that's great, thank you.
You're very welcome. You have a Merry Christmas, won't you? And I hope you're feeling better really soon.
We're going to spend our holiday seasons just in isolation. Co-Health is doing their bit, so thank you, I appreciate it.
Community organisation Co-Health has hired 60 more staff to support Melburnians isolating over Christmas. Steve Smoothie's family had plans to celebrate with loved ones before his 2 daughters tested positive.
At the moment we're in ISO till just after New Year's.
A delivery of new toys welcomed by the whole family.
I think there's something in there that I'll like as well, but yeah, the girls will love it too.
As cases climb, the Co-Health call centre remains a hive of activity.
Why don't we start with a basic list of groceries you might need?
Health workers like Claire Meeker redeployed to help out.
They're so grateful for the smallest things. It relieves a lot of pressure off the family.
I love helping people, always have. Sometimes you get children waving at you at the windows and it's wonderful.
Tomorrow, 45 Co-Health staff members will give up Christmas Day with their own families to help out others who are stuck in isolation.
Christmas can be trying at the best of times, but knowing that you're COVID positive and having to isolate away from friends and family, that just gets another layer to it.
Estelle Greeping, 7 News.
A popular sunscreen is being pulled from the shelves. Next, the urgent warning, just as Victorians try to stay sun-smart over summer. Help from the air, the mission to rebuild these koalas' fire-ravaged home. Why, there's a chicken making waves at Ocean Grove. And soon, breaking news on Santa's flight path to Melbourne. It was a sombre Christmas Eve in the Tasmanian town of Devonport, where a second victim of the Jumping Castle tragedy was laid to rest. 12-year-old Jai Sheehan was remembered as a boy with a beaming smile and a love of soccer.
Jai took his soccer seriously and even made sure that he ate veggies, salad and fruit to aid his soccer fitness.
Jai's father wasn't able to attend the funeral because he has only emerged from a coma after a crash. The future of Australia's declining koala population is getting a helping hand from high above. Drones are dropping seeds onto land destroyed during bushfires to help rebuild their homes.
For millions of years, koalas like Miriam have grazed at old Hidden Vale Station. Her future is being grown by drone, which can scatter 700 kilograms of seed a day.
This is a mix of all kinds of species, from the trees to the shrubs to the grasses, so that we build back an entire ecosystem.
In this Australia First federally funded $18 million trial, WWF is dropping 40 native species.
We call blue gum koala caviar.
Land has been cleared of grass, the soil turned, then it's over to tech, seeding guided by artificial intelligence. This 5 hectares near Grantchester could become a koala highway, a love corridor connecting colonies in habitat scorched by fire.
We have numerous sightings of koalas since then, and what we can anecdotally say is that they are growing in number again.
Black summer raised land twice the size of Tasmania. Drones could accelerate restoration, especially in remote Australia.
What a great partnership this is with WWF.
They'll use drones to check seeding has created seedlings to help salvage a species. Erin Edwards, 7 News.
Just a day after some shampoo products were pulled from shelves, a popular sunscreen is also being recalled. These 3 banana boat products with expiry dates prior to January 2024 should not be used. Like the shampoos, the aerosols were found to contain high levels of the cancer-causing substance benzene. The Sydney Hobart is less than 48 hours away, but many skippers remain in limbo. They're waiting on COVID test results. And once cleared, they will be up against it right from the start, with conditions tipped to be as tough as they get.
The Sydney Hobart Supermaxi skippers with line honours in their sights, now just 2 days away from setting sail. Well, that's the plan.
Hopefully we're all good, but it could be catastrophic for us.
Their race now hinging on COVID test results, with the window to bring backups on board closed.
I think we'll all get a sigh of relief once we get our PCR test back in the next 24 hours, so I'd stay tuned. I think there's going to be some issues.
This year is shaping up to be a race of strategy rather than speed. Skippers bracing for a forecast southerly on the first night.
Apart from passing the PCR test, that'll be the second big test.
The first day will be very tough.
It's tough as it gets, really. But this is a dream start for us.
At this stage, it looks like we'll see the first of the fleet arrive at Constitution Dock in Hobart during the afternoon of the 28th. But with such tricky conditions forecast, skippers say it's anyone's race this year.
It's likely you end up in the Derwent, and I think together, and it does make it more exciting.
But with just 3 100-footers competing, the international entrant is firming as a favourite. Not that it's a title he's eager to claim.
Favourites don't win, do they? When was the last time a favourite won the Melbourne Cup? So, no, it doesn't excite me at all being favourite.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
And staying on the water, a 76-year-old Ocean Grove woman is making waves on the Surf Coast by taking her pet chicken to the beach. I kid you not. Elaine Jane says it's unfair to confine her pets to a backyard pen. So, to keep them happy, she takes them out and about, including this Plymouth Rock breed hen who likes to surf. Mrs. Chook, as she's become known in the area, also takes her flock for a coffee. My granddad was a chicken farmer, they didn't surf. There are fresh concerns for a member of Australia's bowling lineup, and Macca, it could be another selection headache.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. Jai Richardson is battling a mystery complaint and is in a race to be fit for Boxing Day. We'll have the latest next. As the return of Josh Hazlewood also still in doubt, while it appears to be good news for Mitchell Starc. Plus, an early Christmas gift for Glenn Maxwell down in Hobart. A massive night out for Steph Curry and the Warriors, and the Kiwi who clinched a win on the last ball epic in New Zealand. Welcome back. Aussie fast bowler Jai Richardson continues to be touch and go for the Boxing Day test, with Josh Hazlewood now all but ruled out. Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne could be the key to England captain Joe Root finding form.
Turning to a motivational book that could quickly become England's last rites, Australia 1 win away from clinching the Ashes, a series whitewash front of mind.
We can't take our foot off the pedal. We need to stay really ruthless in the way that we're playing our cricket.
Injured quick Josh Hazlewood an onlooker at training and set to miss, but skipper Pat Cummins will return. Mitchell Starc showing no signs of a rib complaint. Jai Richardson sore, battling what 7 News understands is a foot complaint. Michael Neser in the frame to keep his spot. An uncapped quick Scott Boland on standby. But all-rounder Cameron Green is adamant he's fully fit after he was managed on day 5 in Adelaide.
I just thought we could probably get through the game without bowling me and then keep me a bit more fresh for this game. But the boys bowled beautifully, and credit to them.
Joe Root has been caught behind in all 4 innings this series, drawing on some Aussie batters for assistance.
You watch guys like Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne, they're very good at leaving on length. In England, you can't afford to do that, so we don't grow up trusting that bounce.
The captain and his teammates gathered on the turf of the MCG, reflecting on the huge task ahead. Quick Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson hitting the nets late this afternoon after their lengths were questioned by their skipper after the belting in the second test. Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
A rare 5-run penalty for a deliberate short run had everyone confused in the Stars Hurricanes Christmas Eve Big Bash clash in Hobart. Needing 181 runs for victory, the Stars have lost Stoinis and Maxwell, with import Andre Russell down to get the winning runs. Bellerive wasn't big enough to rein in Ben McDermott. That's out of here. The opener was handing out crowd catches like candy canes in a blistering 28-ball half-century. Matthew Wade also offered the locals some catching practice.
That's the short boundary. He picked it up nice and early and a good catch on the hill.
Andre Russell helped wrestle back the momentum for the Stars before some final over controversy after a rare deliberate short run from Hurricanes batter Tim David.
Knew he just had to touch about a metre out of the crease to be able to get back and face the last delivery.
The Stars began their run chase, none for 5 before facing a ball, as Marcus Stoinis fell for 18.
It's hit hard. It's yes. Tim David with a spectacular catch.
I think he copped a bit of what for from Rogers.
An early Christmas present for Glenn Maxwell.
Chance here. Sandeep underneath it. Oh, he's put it down.
He hasn't got a paw on it.
And Maxwell survives.
But it would cost just 12 as Maxwell held out shortly after.
It's in the air again. Taken.
Englishman Joe Clark's half-century kept the Stars in the hunt. Andre Russell, given a life after this catch was controversially overturned by the third umpire. And needing 6 runs off the final ball for victory, number 11 Trent Boult shocked everyone across the ditch in the Super Smash.
Goes for it! Trent Boult's done it! Trent Boult's done it! I am losing my mind!
The Kiwi Quick's miracle maximum lifted the Northern Brave to a 1-wicket win. Melbourne Victory is gearing up for a Boxing Day blockbuster against Western United. Tony Popovich's side is on a high after last week's crucial draw in the derby against Melbourne City. The coach hoping the home ground advantage will be the difference against the second-place United.
This will be a big challenge for us, and we're at home and in front of our fans. We want to give everyone a Christmas gift and 3 points.
The club has so far dodged a COVID curveball after 6 City players tested positive. As the Premier League battles with rising COVID cases, now there's a threat that players and managers should go on strike. Condensed fixtures are putting pressure on player welfare and performance.
The players or the manager all together and make a strike or make something, because if just for the words, it's not going to be solved, because the UEFA, the FIFA, the Premier League, the broadcasters, the business is more important than the welfare.
Man City is currently scheduled to play 3 games in just 6 days. And Steph Curry has once again put on a show for the Warriors, scoring 46 points to lift Golden State to a 113-104 win over Memphis, maintaining the team's second-best record in the NBA. Meantime, a fired-up Joe Ingles found the basket after a scuffle with Timberwolves forward Jake Layman.
Just finding out what he's doing for Christmas, and obviously hoping that they have a great one and look after themselves.
Ingles and the Jazz had the last laugh, though, winning by 12 points. Mike, that is all for sport.
Merry Christmas, Macca. Sonia is next with the forecast. And Sonia, just one sleep until Christmas. How's it all looking?
It is, Mike. Well, the whole weekend is mild, but after that, the summer heat makes its comeback. Details next. Hello again on this stunning Christmas Eve, and what a day it was. Under clear blue skies, the city rose to 26 degrees. It reached 27 in Frankston, but away from the bay, the northern suburbs went a little higher. Watsonia made it to 30. The festivities are getting underway this evening in perfect conditions. There's a cool breeze coming off the water, and we're sitting on 25 degrees, or 23 rather, in Moorabbin. Under light winds and sunshine, the warmth spread across the state. We reached the mid to high 30s north of the Divide and the mid 20s down along the coast, although it did hit 29 in Colac. And it's sitting on 20 degrees right now for those in Sale. Overnight clouds build as a weak cold front brushes the coast, but that system clears quickly. We stay under a lot of cloud though tomorrow, and in a southerly airflow, winds will strengthen during the afternoon. So it is a cooler Christmas and Boxing Day, but we're back on a warming trend as we count down the last days of the year. To the forecast now, and Christmas Day is wet and stormy in Brisbane, dry and warm in Sydney. There'll be showers in Canberra, warm and dry in Hobart, sunny in Adelaide, but in Perth, they're bracing for 43-degree heat. Back home, and light morning showers could develop along the southwest coast, then over the central and Gippsland ranges later in the day. There's also the risk of showers and storms about the eastern ranges, but away from there, Christmas Day is dry. Temperatures stay mild in the south under passing cloud, but it is hot and mostly sunny for those up in the north. Expect light to moderate southerlies to freshen from the west during the afternoon. Closer in, and we'll wake up on Christmas morning under cloud, then increasing sunshine. The day is dry, but cloud returns later. So from that, the northwest suburbs could get a sprinkling later in the day. In Essendon tomorrow, 22 degrees. It's 21 in Geelong and Cranbourne. The city starts on a cloudy 15 degrees, but it's a mostly sunny afternoon. 21 degrees is our high. Then it's a dry and mild 19 degrees for the Boxing Day test. From there, we warm, starting with 23 on Monday, 25 on Tuesday, Wednesday 28, we hit 30 on Thursday. Then the mercury soars on New Year's Eve. It's a high of 32 degrees. But it's all about Christmas. Clouds will bookend the big day with sunshine in between. We're reaching 21 degrees. And Mike, wishing you, both of you and your families, a wonderful Christmas. To our viewers at home as well, have a safe one.
You too. Thanks, Sonia. Now, before we go, we have some breaking news, and 7 News has just been told Santa is on his way. Earlier this month, Santa made a top-secret trip here to Australia to confirm his flight path, and his sleigh is now on its way. He was given special permission from border authorities to travel from the North Pole, and we can confirm he tested negative to COVID before he left. He'll also be wearing a mask when he visits each house, even though he says it's a bit hard over his beard. So, children, make sure you go to bed early tonight so you're ready for a big day tomorrow. And that's 7 News from all of us here. Have a Merry Christmas, and we hope Santa finds his way to your house. For now, have a great night.